everyone, you are welcome back to the channel. It's Chris Junior Tech. I know you are here for the big question: where do I go from here, or how do I start? You may have been into programming because you feel or hear that it's lucrative, or perhaps your friends introduce a code to you and you feel like you are going to write the same code. First, let me let you understand that if you want to go into programming, you must have the passion for programming, because there are times where you would have to write thousands and millions of lines of code, or where you have to debug, and at the end of the day, solutions may not come. So you may get frustrated and end even before you begin. So that is why today I want to explain to you. If you have already started programming, then this lecture is for you. If you don't know where you are headed, because it's just like you are headed or accelerating on a journey and you don't know where you are going. So if you already started programming and you are busy hovering around, reading through articles and learning different programming language without having an area of concentration, then this video is for you. Also, if you are an absolute beginner, this video is also for you, because I'm going to introduce to you and I'm going to explain to you your areas of concentration where you are going to focus your attention so that you will not go astray. Now, if you are going into programming, I said you must have the passion for programming. Yes, if you are just learning programming for maybe you are fixing up an assignment or you are studying a course in school, then you can just hover around and get a programming language that relates to that course that you are studying, and you learn, and you may not just be so good at it, but you may just comprehend it at the velocity that is beyond the comprehension of your friends and families used to show off. Another one is okay. So, but if you are going into programming for development, or you are going into programming as a passion, there are about, I've listed 8 areas that you are going to specialize in. There are 8 areas. That is my statistics, or that is my drawing. I've put it into 8 areas. I've listed the sections of programming that you go into, and the programming languages that you need to learn if you are going into this. If you fall into any of these categories, these are the programming language that follows suit. You would study this programming language and concentrate on the languages so that you will be perfect. Because programming is just like a universe. There are different languages. You have to know where you are headed. You have to know what you are doing. If you understand the concept of maybe input stream and output stream, before you know, another method of that same way will emanate. That is how it is. That is why you see your iOS, your phone, you see iPhone 1, iPhone 2, Android version 1, version 2, version 3, and so on and so forth, because concepts are changing and days are changing. So you can never it does not end. So you need to know where you are going, know where you are headed, so that you'll be able to be aligned with your course. Okay, so I said I have listed 8 ways, or 8 groups, or 8 categories, that if you find yourself in any of these categories, you just follow my instruction. I'm going to list 1 or 2 programming language that you need to concentrate on. That is, so that you will not find yourself amiss, so that you will not miss out. Okay, so now, if you are first, let me list the first one. If you are into game development, if you are going into game development, or you are going into programming for the purpose of game development, you should study C++ or Java. I'm not trying to say there are not other programming languages that you can learn to understand, so that you're able to build your games and all of that. The other programming languages, mind you. But if you are going fully into game, this is my piece of advice for you, because I also received these pieces of advice while I was an infant in this field of programming. I used to watch videos, I read ebooks, and these ebooks gave me pieces of advice and information that made me scale through. If you want to go into application development for your Android phones, for your iOS phones, for your PCs, desktop computers, and all that, you should study Java or Kotlin and Swift. You should study Java and Kotlin. They are for Android development. Then Swift is for iOS. There are other programming languages that you can study for this, but I'm just giving you my own piece of advice as a good friend. If you want to go into application programming, study Java, Kotlin, and Swift, and concentrate your mind in these areas. So the third section is, if you want to go into cybersecurity and ethical hacking. You see, cybersecurity and ethical hacking is just a vast word. Cybersecurity and ethical hacking is so vast that you don't need to learn just one programming language to be able to scale through. It is like learning a bit of all these languages and understanding them. So if you are going to cybersecurity, you should be able to understand almost all concepts of programming, because cybersecurity is in different form. It can come in form of HTML, JavaScript, it can come in form of web applications, it can come from websites, it can be from applications and all that. So you need to have a knowledge in almost all the field of programming. That does not mean that you should study all the programming languages. No, you don't need to study all the programming languages, but you concentrate on the areas those that are mostly common. If, for instance, an application a spyware is written or a malware is written, you must be able to analyze this malware, unzip this malware, and if you after unzipping, you see the language that is written in. If you don't understand that language, then you'll not be able to detect or have any knowledge of what how this malware affects the system. So you must have a comprehensive knowledge of almost all the programming language, the major programming languages. If you want to go into cybersecurity, Liz, I started with HTML then because I was so fascinated with this programming that I started with HTML. And then I did not have a PC, a personal computer. I was not having a laptop. I started with my phone. I started coding. In fact, I wrote my first program with my phone. I did my first program. I think it was in C++. I did it in my phone. Don't worry. We'll get to the section of the other video. I'll do other videos on how you can program with your phone, how you can write code with your phone, HTML code, JavaScript code, how you can write Java code with just your phone. I actually started with my phone, just like I said. I started coding with my phone. I wrote my first website with my phone. I built my first application with my phone. I will teach you all that. We will get into all that. I promised you great practical skills in this section. But if without this introduction and letting you know where you belong, you will not be able to assimilate or comprehend at a velocity that's beyond human comprehension. So that is that. If you are going to cybersecurity, first you need to understand HTML, how websites work. If you don't understand how websites work, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you don't understand how websites work, you will not be able to, maybe detect or monitor websites and know the kind of vulnerabilities that comes from this website, such as SQL injection, CSS, cross-site scripting, and others. So firstly, you should understand that is for the beginner level. Understand HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And if you understand these HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, at least you have got that means you have gone a little percent into ethical hacking and cybersecurity. And also, you must understand Java, understand C++, Python, and I don't mean that you just study all these programs. Listen, how I started, I had to understand these languages. If I have a problem that has to do with Java, I will study the Java programming language for like 3 to 6 months, having a good knowledge of it. Then I'll pause the project and I'll return back to it after 6 months. If I also have anything that has to do with Python, I'll pause the project and return back to it after studying Python. That was long ago. Then when I was actually growing up in this field of tech. So that was how that was how I got to understand all the programming language. So I said you must understand HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And also you must have a good knowledge of Kali Linux or Linux. Anyone must have a good knowledge of Linux operating system. You must understand Linux because that is the operating system that is mostly used for ethical hacking and penetration testing. So you must have a good understanding of Linux. So then you should also be able to understand how applications work, how web applications work, how mobile application, desktop application work. You just have to cover most of these areas as a cybersecurity expert or somebody that have intention of going to cybersecurity. Just cover all these areas one after the other. Solve problems. If you're like I always say, if your programming knowledge does not solve any problem, then you are not a programmer. If you can solve problems with your programming skills, then when I started programming, even my first 3 months into programming, I was able to solve my personal problem, like little problems, like writing my first website, building up calculators. Then I think my first project was in C++. This project was about, I think, then I used to go to site to give people quotation and estimate, and after giving quotation and the money is transferred to me, I always end up maybe not giving the right quotation, like I will miss out an item. So what I did then, I just listed out all the items in a simple application. So when I get to the site, I just click the application and I'll begin to fill. So that's how it is. I was able to solve my problem. So if you're not solving any problem as a programmer, then you are not into programming at all. You've not started at all. So that is it. So if you're into cybersecurity and ethical hacking, understand HTML, CSS, Python, JavaScript, you understand SQL, it could be PostgreSQL, it could also be MySQL, and any type of SQL, which is structured query language, you understand SQL. We'll get into all these. There's a lot you're going to learn on this channel. So just click on the subscribe button now. So you're going to learn all this, a lot of Kali Linux, Windows, and all of that. That's about that and that. So if you're going into embedded systems like You're going to be writing for IoT devices. You're going to be writing programs that runs hardware, like hardwares, into embedded systems. So you are going to be writing this program. You should understand assembly and C. These are programming languages that you understand. So, but if you are going to operating system, you want to be writing operating system in this our section. Like as we proceed in the future, we are going to be writing our operating system. I have actually built my minimal operating system. Yeah, my small operating system, I have built it. I'm still developing on it. So in the future of this video, I'll teach you how to you write your own operating system, and I'll teach you how you write your own operating system, because most of these are operating systems that you are seeing nowadays, they are so abstracted, like you cannot get direct knowledge of it. So you cannot get the direct concept, like the underground concept, the bare metal concept is what you cannot get. So when I started building my operating system, that was why I got to know all these things. If you're going into operating system, you should understand have a good knowledge of assembly and C. Then if you're using it, your coding for your day-to-day activities and all of that, you need Python. You may be wondering why I did not start with Python. It is good. Python is a good programming language. Yeah, it's a good programming language, but I will encourage you not to start with Python. That is a part of where do I start from. I will encourage you not to start with Python. Then I don't know, there are over 1,000 videos on the internet that tells you start with Python. Python is beginner friendly. It will teach you this, it will teach you that. I did not start with Python. I started with a language that was object oriented. I started with after HTML. I started with C++ as a programming language. And after the great understanding of C++, I was able to grasp Python within 3 months. Like I understood let me tell you, these programming languages are just they are just similar. These programming languages, they are similar. The Python or the JavaScript, Java, they are similar programming languages. It's just like just like languages here. You have similar language. You have languages that are over there. They mean the same. When you say go in Yoruba can be okay. I don't know that in Yoruba. Okay, go, or let's say sit, or come in Hausa can be zo, come in Yoruba can be wa, but they mean the same thing. They are just different languages that were written by different people based on their different ideologies and all that, but they mean the same thing. So if you want to print a statement, every program can print statements. This programming language will tell you type print to print a statement. Another programming language will tell you type this to print another statement. They don't tell you system to act to print line just to print a single statement. They are just using this different method of abstraction just to make it unique. Just to say, okay, I wrote the programming language, like somebody copies English language and they try to form pidgin out of it, and the colloquial English they start to form it out of it. It's the same English that they are using. Somebody speaks Benin and speaks Asian or Isan. They are speaking the same thing, but just what a kind of uniqueness that, okay, I created this out of this. That is how it is. That's how most programs are written. So that is how it is today. So if you are going into any of these areas that I just mentioned, you might as well consider the program languages that I also mentioned. I'm not trying to say that there are not other programming languages out there for you, but there are a ton of other programming languages. But I just want to give you my own piece of it, because how I started, I've told you how I started with my phone, I have C++ and all of that. So start with a language that is object oriented, or let's say C. You can start with C because C is the fathers of all languages. If you start with C, you will be able to comprehend other languages without difficulty. You'll be able to understand Python, you'll be able to understand C++ and all that. But then you go to an object oriented programming like C++ or Java, and you are good to go. So start with a programming language. Don't start with Python. If you start with other programming language, you will understand Python within months. So don't let anybody tell you that when you code online, they you start with Python. No, I advise you today. I'm advising you because you are on my channel and following me. So don't start with Python. Start with another programming language that is either C or which almost all programming language emanates from C. So that is it. So start with C. So I'll be giving you more piece of information like this, and we're going to be building our operating system. We're going to be building programs. We're going to be I told you we'll be writing our operating system. We're going to show our operating system. I'll teach you how to write an operating system, how to build application, games, and others. I'll also teach you cyber security and others. So you have a lot to learn on this channel. We are just starting, so we just kicked off. So there's a lot to learn. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. So other video will pop up, so click to watch other videos, click on the notification button so I'll be able to follow up with our updates. When you release new video, you'll be able to watch these videos and get comprehensive knowledge so you don't miss out an iota of our lecture. So click on the subscribe button and click on the notification button. Peace out.